Okay. Okay. All right. So LinkedIn is it's really one of my favorite things to teach. And I taught it a lot before the pandemic as well, in big rooms with, 100 people there. And I think um, one of the harder parts about teaching this on Zoom is I'm very used to interactive and people talking and, getting feedback and questions live. So it's a little bit harder for me just as a presenter to do this, but it also makes it easier because I can move around the screen so easily and stuff. So if you have a question as I'm going through this, you can feel free to ask it, because again, sometimes people have the same question, so you can feel free. So I'm not going to teach you everything about LinkedIn in an hour. It's impossible. So I want to teach you some, important tips for getting what you want out of it, getting more of what you want out of it, making connections from it. And I want to start with profiles. Okay. So if you look around, you're going to see good profiles and you're going to see profiles that just sort of fall flat. Okay. So I'm going to dissect this for you and give you the pieces of the profile and what you need to look for and update on your own. So the first thing I always tell everybody is please get a good picture, a real picture, probably not a selfie, although some people have gotten very good at selfies, but get a well done photo. I prefer them to be close up for people because you see them smiling. And I always insist that people smile, unless you are, for some reason, you are an attorney that does criminal suits and you want to, look mean, then that's your prerogative. But smiling, engages other people and it makes you seem approachable. So I always tell people get a good headshot, and it should be a close-up headshot, not far away. And make sure it's up there and it's current. It should also be current enough that if people see you, they're not going to say that's not the same person. The other thing that's really kind of cool is this banner up here. So this is, think of this as your own personal billboard. Okay, so this is a place where you can do whatever you want. You can put a picture up here. You can put anything that is descriptive of what you do. So if we just pull my friend Bob Withers and we look at his, you can see we did this for him. So we created this for him. So he has things and places where he's been quoted and seen and whatever. So it's like having a free billboard on 287. You would want people to, you'd want to use it if someone said, here's a free billboard. So the way that you make this, I don't know how many people are familiar with Canva. Now it's become much more popular than it was a few years ago. But Canva is Canva, okay? And it is free. You can pay for a premium, but it's also free. And basically what you do is you go in here and you do create a design, okay? And you tell it what you want to create. So you go in and you say you want to create a LinkedIn article cover, background photo, carousel, post, profile, whatever. Okay, single image ad. And so this is the one you want, article color image, right? Although they changed it. It might be background photo. They changed that recently. But anyway, you pick which one it is. And then you can just pull in the information that you want to pull in from here. Okay, they'll give you suggestions that you can then play with. But you could put a photo in here. You can put multiple photos. You can put text in here, right? So you start to build it out and you can do, whatever you want with it. And you can do backgrounds. Again, if we were in person, I'd ask you all to raise your hands and tell me who's used this. But basically, it's very, very simple and it's free. So you can play with this, and you can also use this for any social posts that you're doing and anything that you want to create. It's a fantastic tool. And again, it's free. Okay, so that's so important because it's just another piece. It's another place where you can round out your profile. And I tell people to think about your profile as an extension of you. And if you went into a meeting to meet somebody and you were networking, you want to be interesting, right? If someone says, what do you do? If you say, oh, not much, or what are your hobbies? I don't really have any. Where have you worked? A couple of places, right? You want to be interesting. So you want your profile to reflect that as well. So you want this to be as robust as you can make it. All right. So once you are done with this portion, you want to move on to the rest of the body of this. So this top portion, people ask me a lot about this, and it's become more popular for people to do this. But if you were to tag me, if we were at an event and you posted a photo and you were to tag me, it would come up as Risa Hogue Marketing Consultant. And I put that in there on purpose because wherever I'm tagged or wherever I'm commenting, I want to be known as a marketing consultant. So there's no question what I do. So the way that you do that is you go into your little pencil here. And for my last name, I put Risa Hogue Marketing Consultant. Okay, so it's as simple as that. All right. The other thing that they let you do now is you can actually record a little greeting. So you can say your name. So my name gets butchered a lot. I get all kinds of things. I get Risa Hoag and Risa Hog and all kinds of fun variations on my name. So I just have
Risa Hogue.
I just have a recording of this is how you say my name. You could say other things in here, call me for information on marketing or looking forward to our meeting, or, you could put anything in here that you think is kind of a fun thing to do. Then they ask for your pronouns. And then the next section is your headline. So this is what's over here underneath your name. And this used to be your title. So this used to be President of GMG Public Relations, right? Now you can use this for, again, almost anything you want to use it for. So this could say open to work, right? Looking for a job in X. You can use this any way you want. So what I put in here, and you want to think of it as like your keywords, right? So if you were doing search engine optimization and you were having keywords, this is the same kind of a thing. You want to think about how do you want to be known? How might people be searching for you? And what information do you want them to know right away? So that's your headline. All right. So I use marketing consultant, public relations consultant, social media expert. So I put all of these things in my headline. It can be a sentence though. So you think about this again, it's your opportunity to use this space for whatever you want to convey to people. Just as a note. So this little up and down, this little vertical line. So this little, some people don't know where this is on your keyboard. If you look at your keyboard, it's going to be above the enter button. Okay, and you just shift and you've got that little vertical line. And sometimes people get very excited about that little line. So I thought I would share that. All right, then you go to current position. I'm just gonna, if you're not muted, just mute yourself, just so we don't get any background noise. Okay. Next, you have the industry, so whatever industry you're in, and then your education. So when you start to plug in your education here, you want to make sure that it comes up. In other words, as you start to type it in, it should automatically populate with the name of your school if the name of your school has a page, which most do, on LinkedIn. So you want to make sure that that populates, and I'll show you why. Then you want to add your location, your zip code, website, all of that. Okay, so that's basically this top portion. It will also tell you, so this is where it'll show that I've connected to the right page for my company because my logo shows up. And that's pulling it in from that page. Same way it's pulling in SUNY Purchase, it's pulling in the logo from there. That's how you know you have the right page for the school or the place that you work. All right. The other thing that's kind of nifty is they give you a little bit of stats over here. So it shows I have 4,233 followers, 500 plus connections. And this is where you would put in for the people with job. I wasn't going to do a whole lot of job stuff on this, but this is where you do that, open to finding a new job or hiring, that kind of thing. All right. You can add to your profile, and I'll show you how to do that. There's sections that you can add to it. And it often tells you that, like, it says here, add profile section. So there are things that you can add as you're going along if you don't see them here already. All right. I don't generally do these quizzes because they're a waste of time. All right. The next thing you want to have, this is one of my favorite pieces of the profile. So this is your featured section. This you should think about as an artist portfolio. Remember when back in the old days, before we had digital artwork, right? Artists would go around with giant portfolios, big black portfolios with handles, and they'd carry them around, and everything that was in there, and they could pull things out and put things in when they needed them. And so that was a living portfolio, right? They were changing it up. This is your living portfolio. This is where you should be putting any information that is important to you and important to share and important for you, for that you want people to know about you. Okay, so you'll see here I have our GMG statement. This is our capability statement, right? So I update this periodically, and this is information for government work that we do. Okay, it's pulling in posts, which I'll talk about in a minute. This is a post that I wrote, a long form post, so I'll talk about that in a second. So there, in this case, it's pulling those things in. I haven't put them in here. This is something I put in here. So if you've done, we did got an article in the Westchester Business Journal, and so we reprinted it here, Sherry Bruck and I, and reprinted it here just to keep it top of mind for people to read. This is an example of our work. We got a big story on the Associated Press wire. So this is just, an example of that. But the other thing that you can put in here, which is kind of cool, is you can also put videos in here, right? So we put articles from clients, but you can also put videos, which sometimes don't work, I suppose. That does happen every once in a while. You got to go back and check your profiles because sometimes these links break. But this should be supposed to be a video. So it's not working right now. Let's see if this is, yeah. So this is a video, which also doesn't seem to be working. So periodically you have to check these things. Let's see about this one. This was a program, a PowerPoint presentation that we did. So you can put a PowerPoint in here, you can put a PDF in here, you can put a Word doc in here, video in here. Oh, it may be that they've changed it now. You got to go and hit view and it'll take me to YouTube where these are living. Okay, so this is something that you really can give a lot of thought to, and you can also update as need be. All right, so what are the things that you want to show off? Maybe it's your resume, maybe it's work that you've done at another company. It could be, articles you've written elsewhere that you've, put into a PDF and posted here. But this is your place to shine. This is your place to, include as much about you that shows all the diversity of the things that you do. All right, under activity, this is just where it's going to show you your own activity of what you do. Okay, so what you've posted and things you commented on and all of that. So that's what this is. Now, the interesting part about this is that you can also see this on other people's pages. Okay, so if you are going to interview with somebody for our job seekers, if you were going to interview with somebody, you can actually see what are they commenting on, what are they posting on, what's of interest to them. And you can start to get a little background on these people. All right, in your about section, so this might have been, I think it was Elizabeth, this might have been what you were talking about, Elizabeth, with in your about section. Okay, so the about section, again, it's your place, you own this, even though we don't pay for this, and none of this stuff I'm showing you is paid for. My profile is, I do the free service. They've given you this wonderful platform, so you kind of own this space, so you can use this any way you want. And I do recommend that you go around LinkedIn and look at other people's profiles and see how are they using this space, what are they writing if they're in the same industry as you, right? So you can use this as a narrative, which I've done here. You can do it in third person, you can do it in first person. I have people ask me that all the time. There's no hard and fast rule on that. The hard and fast rule is make sure there's no typos. Prepare this in Word first, have somebody read it, make sure that it's, well written, no typos, no mistakes, whatever, and then upload it into here, copy and paste it. And again, if you want to put bullet points in here, that is perfectly fine. If you want to have a little bit of narrative and then put bullet points, that's perfectly fine. If the top wants to say, open to, a new position or seeking new position, here's some of my key, performance, challenges or things that I've done or accomplished, key accomplishments, that kind of thing. You can put that all in here. But think of it as, again, it's like your billboard. So you can use this for anything you want, any way you want. You don't want it to be overly long. You want to be, less is more in this case. You don't want to have it so long that people go, I'm not reading all of that. I'm asked all the time about, should I put anything personal in here? And I never used to put anything personal in here. Personal stuff was on Facebook, Instagram, that kind of thing. However, I was teaching this one time and someone asked me, do I put anything personal in? And I said, no. I said, for example, you wouldn't know that I own a horse by reading my LinkedIn profile, but you would certainly know it from my Facebook. And at the end of that event, someone who I think I think his son is on this call, Michael Murphy, said, oh, well, we do design for equestrian estates and you ride horses, so maybe we should talk. So right after that, I put in her spare time, Risa is an accomplished equestrian trained in dressage with her horse only. So it can't hurt, I guess, to put some personal things in there as long as you don't keep it too, again, don't get too much into the personal end of it. I did include my maiden name here. Some people do it in their, higher up where you have your name. I just put it in here. You don't have to do it. All right. When you get down to the experience portion, this is where you want to make sure that this is filled out as much as you can. You want to have, again, as well-rounded information as you can. And there's also ways that people search and where you might come up in search because of the things that are in your experience and in your profile. So when you start to put one of these in, again, this is where when you start to type it in, the name of the company, if there's a page on the site, will come up automatically, and that's how you want to choose it. And I'll show you why in a bit, why that's important. You can also put in here anything else that it may not be your job currently, but it's some experience that you had. Like I like to put in here the radio talk show host I did with my friend Jordan, and it's kind of fun and it's kind of interesting. I taught marketing and social media for the Women's Enterprise Development Center. And then this was a job before GMG, Director of PR, and IBM. So you want to make sure that this is as well-rounded, again, as you can. And I've had people ask me, well, what if my experience, what if I'm looking for a job or I've moved to a new job and my experience is with a company that I don't necessarily want to promote, right? So I don't want to give them that link or that, that can go two ways. So if you have the link, again, I'll show you why it could be something that's important. But if you really don't want to have it, you could just put in a name that doesn't tie to a page. Legal experience at, such and such, or a firm in Westchester or something like that. So you don't have to put it all, you don't have to connect it if you don't want to connect it. All right, the next thing you want to have in here is your education. And I put everything in here. So Purchase is where I graduated from. Emerson, I went for a semester, but I'll show you why it's important. Nanuet Senior High School, and then RCC, I went for summer. And so I have all of my education in there. All right, licenses and certifications. If you have these, put them in there. And again, because these have logos, that tells you I've connected to a page. And I see a lot of times when people have licenses and certifications listed and they don't tie them to the page. And then you'll see just this sort of generic little logo here. But again, I'm going to show you why this is important. So you want to try to connect to as many pages that are on the site as possible. And again, put in, whatever certifications you have. All right, same thing with volunteering. So you want to have as much information in here, whatever you've worked on. I'm past president RBWN. I was a mentor at Seton Hall University. The Nanuet Chamber of Commerce does not have a page on here, and that's why you see this generic box. Okay, that's what I was referring to. But you want to have as much in here as you can have. This is Meals on Wheels, Volunteer New York, Conscious Capitalism, as much as you can put in there. Again, you want to be interesting. This is a place where people are looking to see who can they connect with, what connections do they have, what experience do they have. So you want to make this as well-rounded as you can. The skill section, this used to be a bigger thing. I don't know how many of you remember, but used to get emails. Do you want to endorse so-and-so for, this skill or this skill or this skill? And I haven't seen them in a long time. So this used to be a bigger deal. I don't think it is as much anymore. The recommendations. So this is important. So recommendations, as you know, whether you're looking at Yelp, whether you're looking at Google, or whether you're looking at LinkedIn, recommendations are gold. They are gold. So anytime that you can request one from somebody, do so. You just do it through here. Somewhere. I don't see my request button, but there is a request button somewhere. And then you can also give them, ask for them and give them. So you want to, again, it's a great opportunity for you to shine. So don't hesitate to ask people. Most people are happy to do it. Sometimes they'll say, well, can you write it and then just send it to me and I'll do it. But it's great to have as many recommendations as you can. Again, it shows that you do good work, that you've got lots of people who are endorsing you. I think Matt McAllister is on this call, right, Matt? Somewhere.
I'm here.
Hey, Matt. All right, then under organizations, same thing. So this is any place else that you've worked or you've had involvement with it. And again, well-rounded. You want to keep this as well-rounded as you can. All right. Does anybody have any questions on the profile at the moment? If you do, unmute and go ahead, Tracy.
Hey, Risa, I actually had two questions. One is, the first question is, you showed the Canva. How do you import that into that top section of the profile? And then I had a second question, but.
Okay, so first what you do when you're in Canva, you're going to give this a name right up here, and then you're going to hit share and you're going to hit download. And then it's going to download to wherever you want it to download. So you'll tell it to download to your, it's easiest to do it to your desktop and then worry about it later, unless you want to have a folder of graphics or whatever.
Okay.
Once you do that and you're back in LinkedIn, you hit this little pencil and that's where you can upload this photo. So I would hit change photo and then it'll ask me, where's your photo? And you find it on your desktop and then you upload it. Okay. So this photo, as you can see, is bigger, but I can move this, I can move this around, but this was the photo that I wanted.
Got it. And the second question is, we talked about the hashtag thing the other day. So
Yeah.
if you want to follow, like, say, real estate. So how do I?
I'm going to do all that in a second.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to do all that in a second.
Sorry.
All right. No. It's good reminder. I just put the note down. So good reminder. Okay. All right. Any other questions before I move along?
I just wanted to ask quickly, with regard to the recommendation section, I noticed that those who gave you recommendations, their photograph is there, and I don't believe that's the case on mine. So maybe I needed to do something, because that's great. You can actually see the person.
It should be that when they do it, so here's where the ask is. Okay, so it should be that when they do it, it pulls in their profile photo.
Automatically.
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't have to do anything.
Okay.
So if I were to put in, if I put in Suzanne, right? Are we connected, Suzanne? Yeah. Okay, so if I pull in Suzanne, right, then it'll ask her for a recommendation. And then when she gives one, then her photo will come up.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking at mine. It does have the person's photos. Okay. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, you shouldn't have to do anything else. Now, another little trick is you can pull these out and use them elsewhere. So, these nice people have written about me. I could pull out Matt's and I could throw it into a tweet. I could take it and put it on my Facebook page. I could take it in and repost it here on LinkedIn. Hey, thanks, Matt. Really appreciate the endorsement, and repurpose it. So always be thinking about, how can I repurpose this thing? Same thing with, if you're posting something in your featured section, how can you pull it out and repurpose it at some point? And let me talk about posting for a minute. So when you go to post, and I'll tie in I'll tie into what Tracy asked. So when you go to post, I do a lot of posting sort of on the fly, right? I'm reading something and I go, wow, this is great. I'm going to share this, and I will post it up here. You can also curate your posts. You can have them so that you've kind of planned them out. You can put together the posts in Canva and start to create pictures and images and that kind of thing. But I tell everybody, you want to be, again, interesting. I keep saying that word, but when you scroll through your own feed, think about the people that are coming up in your feed. Are there people who are just the same thing over and over, or the posts always look so perfect that it becomes uninteresting, right? Because you're like, okay, it's kind of like it's too perfect or something, right? So you want to make your posts interesting. You want to be seen as a resource. You want to pull in information that people go, oh, I didn't know that. It doesn't always have to be your own thought process, right? You can be reading something and say, here's a great quote, wow. And you can quote from the article that you read, or from, whatever it was that you were reading or looking at or whatever. You can also pull in a post from somebody else and say, this was a great read, and then tag that person. So when you start to create the post, you have a choice of it going to anyone or connections or a group, okay? So this is one way, Suzanne. There are a couple of different ways to reach the people that you're, connected with on here. So this is one way. I generally do everything to, anyone on here. And then you want to start to type whatever it is you're typing, right? Love teaching LinkedIn to great people. Okay, and then I could take a picture of all of us online, a screenshot, and I could post it here, right? So if I'm pulling a picture, you would do add photo, and then you got to find your photo and you would pull it in. All right. Hang on. Okay. So the other thing that Tracy just mentioned is the hashtag. So hashtags, some people are really familiar with them and some people are still sort of getting used to using them and don't necessarily understand how they're being used. LinkedIn does a great job of working with hashtags. So I could put in here hashtag, and it gives you suggestions down here. Sometimes they're relevant, sometimes they're not. So you just have to pick and choose, but I could do LinkedIn, I could do hashtag LinkedIn training, I could do hashtag, learning, whatever I want, right? You can put those all in there. And there's a reason that they become important, which I'll show you in a second. But the other thing that you can do is start to tag people. The whole point of, LinkedIn is you want to start to pull in people into your network, into your sphere. And the way you do that is by using hashtags. You do that by tagging people. You do that by being interesting so that people want to comment on your posts, okay? So the way that you tag other people, in case you don't know, is you do an @ and then you type in something. So I can type in Tracy Forrest. Yeah. So if I type Tracy's name, Tracy, we're not connected on here. I will fix that. So you connect Tracy. I thought we were too.
We are.
It says you're second to me. That's what that means for anybody who doesn't know. See how it says second? That means we're not officially connected yet, which is weird because I thought we were too. But this is how you'll know that you've also typed in the right person. Yeah, Suzanne.
Yeah, Risa, I just wanted to ask, so this is how I could connect to my people on LinkedIn, but let's say they were first connection and I have all their email addresses and I want to do an email campaign. How does that work?
Okay, I'll do that at the end. Remind me.
Okay.
All right, so if I'm tagging Tracy like this, I pull in and now his name turns bold and it's going to put it in there the way that he has it in LinkedIn. So the same way where if people are tagging me, right, it's going to show up as marketing consultant. So that's what I was talking about before. All right. So once you've got this the way you want it, then you can hit post. They do now have the ability to schedule for later, which is kind of a nifty little thing. So if you are like, I have to get this out because I'm going out, but I don't want it to post yet, I want to post it later, you can do that. People ask me about the best time to post. The best time to post is when you have time to post. And what I mean by that is people are going to see your post at all different time. The time that you post isn't when necessarily your entire audience is looking at LinkedIn, right? Everybody's looking at LinkedIn at a different point in time. The algorithm will show your post to the people it thinks want to see it and not necessarily when you want them to see it. So don't worry about when to post. All right. It's sort of, a misnomer that you need to post at lunchtime or, 8 a.m. or whatever. Post when you have time to post. How often should you post? So you should post when you have something interesting to say. Again, if you are saying the same thing over and over and over, you become dull. So you want to make sure that you're posting interesting things. So if you have 3 interesting things to say in a day, that's okay. But if you're not going to have anything for the next 3 days, then maybe you spread them out. So you can think about it like that. All right. The other thing that you can do is the long form posts. So up here, it says write article. Okay. So long form posts, and I have a whole bunch of pages I manage. So that's why it's showing you all these pages. Okay. But I'm going to do this long form post under me. So long form posts, it's interesting because, we think of Twitter and we think of those small, snippets of information, and that you have to be, quick. And yes, people like, we're all kind of instant gratification these days, right? We want the quick information. But people do like reading long form posts on LinkedIn. So it is okay to do 1 and 2 and 3 and whatever, as long as it's something interesting. So it will ask you, do you want to put in a cover image here? And then you can start to write. Okay. And again, obviously I recommend you write this into Word and then you copy and paste. And you can also use mentions here of people and hashtags in here. And then that goes on to live as a long form article, basically, that you can then pull information out of later on and use for posting. And I've said to people, if people say I'm not good at writing, I can't write that much. So if you go to an industry event, let's say you go and you listen to a panel, or you go, on a Zoom and you're listening to someone on a Zoom, and take bullet points, right? Write your own bullet points. And then what you can do is prepare a post and say, attended a great workshop on, whatever it is. And, here were 5 takeaways. So now you become a resource for other people who couldn't attend that or didn't even know about it or whatever. And you're not writing all of this narrative yourself. You're pulling in information from other people. All right. So Tracy had asked about the hashtags. So hashtags are really very interesting on LinkedIn. They give you the ability, if I type in hashtag real estate, okay, it gives me a whole bunch. First of all, it suggests other things, right? Real estate agent, real estate investing, investor, goals, whatever. Let's just do real estate for now. Okay. What this does is it now will show me people who are using real estate, hashtag real estate, somewhere in their post, okay? Why is this good? So this is good because now I'm following, think of it as a stream of consciousness. I'm now following a whole stream of people talking about real estate. So what it does for me is I could say, wow, Glenn Bill, hey, I've heard of him, hey, maybe I'll connect with this guy. Or gee, I really want to follow and read his post because he's always doing something interesting. Or what is he talking about? I didn't know about, whatever it is in this post. It also shows you people who are known to talk about hashtag real estate or include that hashtag in their posts. So these could be people that you say, oh, I want to follow these people. They're writing about this all the time. Okay. So I'm trying to find one that I'm not following here. Let's see if Bergen County comes up for the heck of it. I'm trying to find, it's supposed to come up. And again, I can teach this one day and the next day it changes. What is supposed to happen is it gives you the ability to follow the hashtag, which I'm not seeing right now. Hashtag Rockland County. Okay, well, and I come up. Hashtag new job. All right, they may have changed this, but what is supposed to happen is I am supposed to see something that allows me to follow that hashtag. And you can, as you see across the top here, look at this in different ways. So from members, sorting by date posted, author, industry. So you can use these hashtags in different ways, okay? But I will try and find that for you before we hang up, but you're supposed to be able to follow that hashtag because then it comes up in your stream. So I may not just be seeing it. Usually it comes up in a big green box, a big green circle, and you follow it. All right. How many people use groups? I can't really see your hands raised, but anybody using groups? Okay, groups are another way to do research. So I mentioned before about looking at people's profiles and seeing what they're all about. So if you're going to meet with somebody and you are, you're going to meet them, whether it's a job, whether it's a new position, new client, whatever it is, you can do research and look into their background and say, what's in their profile, right? What are they looking at? What are they writing about? What are they commenting on? And the example I always use is when I was going to meet with somebody, and in his profile, he said that he was a lacrosse coach. And I said, oh, I can use that. So when I went to meet with him, it was a little bit of a cold call. We had met, but it was, kind of a cold call. And in that meeting, he said, how was your weekend? And I said, oh, it was great. I went to my daughter's lacrosse game. Oh, I'm a lacrosse coach. Oh, hey, who knew? Right. So immediately you've got this warm connection with somebody because you've done your research and you looked in their profile and you see what they're writing about, talking about, reading, liking, all of that. So that's why this is such a great tool, because you really can research the people that you're meeting with, the companies that you're looking at to do business with or to get hired by. And groups are a great way to do some research as well. So there's tons and tons of groups on here. Now, the key to some of these groups, though, is you have to look at, what does it say? So here it says 1 month. That means no one's posted. Well, actually, that's a pinned one. Okay, this one's pinned by the administrator. Okay, this one is 2 weeks. So 2 weeks ago, somebody posted. So you have to think, okay, is that really that relevant? Is this an active group? Although Scott, okay, here's Scott. Scott posted 4 hours ago. All right, so that maybe that is an active group, although it mostly seems to be Scott, right? So groups live, you can look for groups in the same way when you do a search and you say, again, I'm just using real estate as an example, but you do real estate and then you can look for groups here. Okay, so this will give you all the groups that you could, and there's thousands and thousands and thousands of groups. But this is a good place if you are looking to connect with people, if you are looking for information, if you are just looking for new sources, if you are looking for what's taking a pulse of the industry, what are people talking about, you can look at these groups and you can say, hey, I want to join that. I'll be going to Canada. Let me see what's going on in construction and real estate in Canada. When you hit join, they're all private groups now. That's just what LinkedIn did with them. So you hit join and then you have to be accepted into the group by the admin, but usually that happens very quickly unless it's a group that is somewhat dormant. Okay, so I love groups. And again, when you type in a term, whether it's a hashtag or just a keyword term, you can see all these other things on the top, which are ways to narrow down your search, whether it's jobs, companies, groups, posts, events, courses, all of that. So LinkedIn really is this enormous database with so much information in it. And it's just a matter of knowing how to access it and taking the time to access it. I tell everybody, make an appointment with yourself once a week, twice a week, 3 times a week. Make it 8 to 9 every Wednesday and Thursday morning is my LinkedIn time. And that's when I'm going to just, get to know it better, start to do some outreach, start to do some posting, clean up my profile. So this is where you want to, schedule time with yourself the same way you would do with a client. Yes, Matt, question.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll probably get there, but about searching for people, like finding people through common background themes, like people who have worked at this company and also went to this university or something like that. I'm gonna
do that right now, Matt.
Cool.
You're leading me right in. Thank you, Matt. It's like I've had shills in the audience here. All right. So this is what I call the secret sauce. of LinkedIn. And I love this part of LinkedIn. So if we go back to my profile, and what I tell people is you should never have to make a cold call again. Once you understand this, you should never, ever have to make a cold call again. So I talked a lot about why it was important to have the companies come up here and know that they're linked, right? So the reason is that once it becomes linked, I can click on it and it's going to take me to a page. So let's go to Purchase College. All right. So when I get here, all right, this is their page on LinkedIn. If I click on alumni, it will show me that on LinkedIn, there were 25,000 down here, 294 alumni. And that means those are the alumni that identify as alumni on here. It doesn't mean that's all the alumni. Okay, that's the people within LinkedIn. All right. So what I've just done is I've taken the world of LinkedIn, the millions and trillions of people on LinkedIn, and I've narrowed it down to people that I now have a connection with. Okay. I could do this same thing with Emerson College. I could do it with Nanuet High School. I can do it with RCC, right? Because all of those are in my profile. I went to all those places. I can also do it with the groups that I had in there. So all the groups are also connected to their pages as long as their logos come up. So Meals on Wheels and what else do I have on there? Whatever, RBWN, all those other groups are also the same thing, okay? So now I've got 25,294 people. How does that help me? Well, there's a couple of different ways that LinkedIn allows you to parse this data and look at this data, and it's absolutely fabulous. So I can simply search by a keyword. So let's say I wanted to put in, I want to work with people at IBM. I want to get back into IBM, or I want to see if they've got any freelance, whatever jobs. Okay. I type in IBM. All right, here we go. I just took that 25,000 name list to 366. Fabulous. I just fine-tuned this right down. Now, it also shows me, okay, where they work, right? So IBM. Now, the reason it's coming up with these people and they don't work at IBM is because they have some connection to IBM. And that's why in your background, in your profile, I was saying it's important to keep all those things, tagged basically, because now you're in this database in all these ways too. All right. It tells me where they live. It tells me what they do, right? So what departments or what industry they're in within IBM or were, what they're skilled at, what they studied, right, at Purchase, and then how we're connected, my first, second, and third connections, okay? So again, I took this huge database. Now, what else can I do with this? Well, let's say that I know I am, it doesn't have California on here, but let's say I know that I'm visiting Connecticut. Well, now I click on that and I narrowed it down to 29 alumni, all right? And they work at different places. So now they're not at IBM, right? But they've got a connection to IBM. And if I scroll down, I actually see them. All right. So now I can look through here and I can say, oh, well, wait a minute, creative director at Canterbury School, that's someplace I wanted as a client, or that's someplace I want to work, or I heard that they are doing a renovation and I want to make sure that, we get in on a bid for the, construction, whatever the connection is, right? And I simply hit connect, and then it's going to ask me, do you want to email her, InMail, and all that other stuff. But I just took that enormous database, right, and narrowed it down this way. Now, there's a zillion other ways to do that. So if I know, well, let's do this one. So this is one of my favorites. So let's say I'm like, okay, well, 25,000. What about if I just start with the people that might have gone to school at the same time as me? You can type in here, okay, and I always debate whether to put my real graduation date in here or not. So let's say Matt, give me your dates, 1990. I'll just pick dates, 1990 to 1994. Let's just pick those dates. All right. So now this is cool, right? Because now what I've done is I took that huge database and I've narrowed it down to 2,064 alumni who were at the campus, on the campus, the same time I was on the campus. All right. So that's even more of a warm touch. And now I can say, well, I'm going to California. So I just narrowed it down to 180 alumni. Well, this is really cool because 2 people work at NBC Universal. And I want free tickets to go to NBC Universal out in California. So I can now, this is in the way down here. I can now reach out to Kelly Pruitt, who's the Vice President of Marketing Strategy at NBC Universal. And I can connect with her and I can say, hey, Kelly, I'm coming to California in 2 weeks. And you and I went to purchase at the same time. And I would love to sit and meet you and have coffee. Every time I've done this, I shouldn't say every time, about 95% of the time, the people get back to me. Now, I'm not always asking them for coffee, or I might be just connecting with them for some other reason. But you see, my point here is the warm touch. Okay, you've now created a connection with these people. And the fact is that I have a connection now with, if I delete these parameters, I have a connection with the 25,000 people that went to SUNY Purchase. And I can do the very same thing with Emerson College. I can do it with my high school. I can do it with any of the volunteer organizations, right? So same thing. And this database will come up for you. So you just have to figure out, well, what is it I'm trying to do? Who am I trying to reach? What's important to me? Is it where they work? Is there a company that I'm dying to get into that I'm going to see if I have a connection there with these people? Or is there a place I'm visiting, right? Or is there a job, that I want in industry? So that's the other way you can use it. You can say, all right, well, I'm interested in, social media. And where do these people work? Okay, someone's social media at Compass, which is a real estate. I'm interested in that. Let me click on this and see what the connection is and reach out to Adam Tress and say, hey, Adam, we're both graduates of SUNY Purchase. I would love to pick your brain. I actually did this not that long ago and was able to connect with an NBC producer who ended up getting me a spot on Good Morning America for one of my clients. And it was exactly what I did here. So the power of this is extraordinary. I mean, it literally takes away and takes out of the equation the cold touch. Now, across the board, are 100% of people going to get back to you? Are 100% of people going to, be warmly receptive? No. But you got a much better shot at doing that. Now, the other thing you can do is my daughter Samantha went to University of Delaware, so I can also use that and just plug in University of Delaware and then narrow it down the same way and say, oh, my daughter went to Delaware and I thought we'd connect, I'm coming to wherever, blah, 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 blah. But immediately you've opened up and created that warm connection, which is so important. I want to show you something else, but does anybody have any questions on this? It's like my favorite piece. Anybody?
No, that's really cool.
It's really cool. It is really my favorite piece about this, because I feel like if you get this and you understand it and you access it, like it opens up just this huge world of LinkedIn connections, and you really never have to make a cold connection again, because you are connected to them in some way. And most people are receptive to getting that outreach. The automated bots, you ever make a connection with somebody and literally in your inbox the next minute is, hey, glad we connected. Could you use more leads? And it's like, no, don't be a bot. Don't be an automated bot. And to your point, Suzanne, with the emailing out to a bunch of people, I just feel like it's so much more impactful when you do this. Not to say that you can't do the email out to a bunch of people, and you should try to do it so that it looks, that's another whole class I could teach on Microsoft Outlook and mail merging, right? Dan Udine knows. Dan and I spent some time doing that, which is also a fabulous tool. But doing this is just such a great way of sharing. If you create an event on here, so if you want to create an event like I did for this, when I created the event for this, when I finished filling this all out, it asks me, do you want to email your network about it? So then you go through and you pick people that you want to invite, basically. So some of you may have seen that from me through LinkedIn. So it does give you that ability to do that as well.
So that was from where again?
So if you're creating an event, you can go in here, you create the event.
Oh, I see.
When you're finished creating it, it will ask you if you want to invite your connections to attend. So it gives you that ability to do that.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Risa, can I just, it's sort of a basic question, but what's the difference between connecting and following somebody?
So LinkedIn has this, if you look at my profile, it says I'm a creator, right? Creator mode on. And to be perfectly honest, I don't know what that means. They asked me if I want to be a creator. I'm like, okay, I'm creative. I'll be a creator. But what that does is it kind of creates this thing where you can't always friend somebody. You have to follow them instead. So it's a little bit of a weird thing. And to be honest, I don't quite understand it because they've changed it. So yeah, so some people you can only follow instead of connecting with.
Okay.
I have a
So
quick question. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Quick question sort of in that vein. How discerning are you with whom you connect with? Because so far, I basically will only connect with people that I know. But then I'm thinking, am I doing a disservice to myself when these random people reach out?
Yeah, you are doing a disservice to some extent. You know, when you go in here, there's all the invitations when you go into my network. I try to be somewhat discerning. I do try to look through and say, okay, does this person, are they in an industry that's of interest to me? Like, here's a brand storyteller, talent agent. Yeah, okay, that's good. I like that. But there might be others that I go, well, I don't know, like this guy's a writer, editor. Okay. You can see I haven't done this in a while. But then there might be other people that just, it doesn't make sense, you know, like, I don't know, registered nurse coaching individuals. I don't know, I might ignore him, you know, but he does have people that I know. And that's the other thing. You can look and see who are they connected with that you're connected with. So if I click on that, it shows me, oh, he's connected all these, oh, he's connection to my daughter, Kelly. Okay, maybe I will connect with him then. So you could spend a lot of time going through like this and picking and curating who you're connecting to. I will disconnect with somebody when the minute I connect, like I said, I get that robot piece. And it's, you know, immediately pops up in my messaging and I'm like, no, I'm done. Like if you can't be an authentic person, I have no interest. So that's the ones I'm careful of, but it's hard to tell sometimes who those people are. So, but you want the bigger your network is, when you're posting, the more people are going to see what you're posting and then push it out on your behalf or comment on it. And the other thing to keep in mind about comments is, so if someone posts something, a like is like the bare minimum of what you want to do. The best thing you can do is comment 5 words or more. All right. And then you can also share it. So those are the things that will help. So if you're in a company like Matt's with Statewide Abstract, and so is Tracy, and their thing is, you know, when we push out a message from Statewide Abstract, they should all be pushing it out as well. If Matt does a post, Tracy should, you know, comment on it and then also push it out there, share it, you know, and all of that makes the algorithm say, oh, this must be important because 5 people commented on it and started to share it. So this is important. Let me show this to more people. And that's how the algorithm works. So it wants people to use the system. It wants people to like using the system and continue using it. So the more robust and the more activity a post gets, the better it is for the post and for the person who's posting. So you want to definitely, you know, help yourself by tagging people using hashtags and then helping each other out by commenting and sharing. I know we're at the 5 o'clock hour, but I just wanted to show you another thing in here. If you go into your own picture up here, go into settings and privacy. And there is a lot of stuff back here, and they've made it a little bit more user-friendly than it was years ago. But you want to go through every single one of these selections here and settings. One of the ones that I use is this visibility one. So if you are what I call like stalking somebody, right? You're either going to go do a job interview or you're going to meet with them or whatever it is, you can actually change this setting so that instead of showing, oh, Risa Ho was looking at you, it just shows I'm in complete private mode. So you can do the marketing communications manager, but I never saw the point in that. So I choose complete private mode for the most part. And you can go back and forth. If you want to stalk a whole bunch of people and then go back in and turn this on after you're done, then you can do that too. But that's a really good one to look at. And then there's just tons of stuff back here that you should look at, how you're seen on LinkedIn, whether people can use your email on here, your account preferences for advertising, whether you want people to know when you're on LinkedIn or not, it'll show up that you're there or you're not there, syncing calendars and contacts and all that stuff. So I always recommend that people go in the back end there and go through every single setting one day and just see everything that's back there. Does anybody have any other questions?
Hey, Risa,
Yeah.
if someone is like doing that bot thing, how do you like, I know it's a Facebook thing, how do you unfriend somebody if you're getting all that?
Yeah, it's a good question. I have to remember how to do that. Let's see. Keep using my friend Bob Withers here. If I were to go in here. Yeah, here.
Unfollow.
So you go into
Unfollow.
more and then unfollow or remove connection.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
I knew it was in there somewhere. All right. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, Suzanne.
So I guess, so the best way to get a hold of people, I guess in terms of email, is to sign up for another session with you. That's a separate session for that. Is that what you're saying? And that for now, I should just use the connections and create a post and go to my first connections?
There is a way to email through Outlook so that everybody gets an individual email. And it's, again, like a hidden gem of Word that I could, do a session on for people. It's a really great tool rather than doing them individually or doing the blind, the BCC, which,
Yeah,
really is not recommended because it's easily ignored.
Right.
But yeah, there's a way to do that within Outlook. If you Google it, doing email merging in Word, then you should be able to come up with the instructions for that.
okay,
Maybe I'll have Dan Udine teach that session. Now that
that'd
Dan's
be awesome.
pro. All right. Anybody have any other questions? I didn't delve too much into the job searching. It wasn't my focus for this, but I'm happy to answer questions offline. If anybody, you can all feel free to reach out to me and ask any other questions that you have. Again, I love teaching this. I just think it's a phenomenal tool. I hope that you all got a lot out of it. I'll send around a little
Recording.
questionnaire just to see if you all felt that it was worthwhile. And I want to thank you again, because like I said, I'm supporting Catholic Charities with this. And maybe I will do a LinkedIn 201.
Yay.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you spending a little time, and hopefully you got something out of it.
Thank you,
Definitely. Thank
Risa.
you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Excellent. Take care, everybody.
Take care.
All
Keep
right.
us posted on 2.0.
All right. I will.
All right, bye.